Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles 2, where we discuss everything else other than SPs, which is the rest of life, as it were. My name is Anna, and I created Magic and Miracles in order to help people, everyday people, all walks of life people, achieve their manifestation goals. You may know me from my other channel, the original channel, Magic and Miracles. And like I said, here I discuss everything else that I want to discuss. So today, I keep it very casual on this channel. All the coaching information is below. I'm super duper inspired to record this because I've been thinking about this for 2 days. So I'm just going to get straight to it. Today we're going to discuss a method, if you will, a technique. Already hate this word because everybody and their mother uses it on YouTube. However, it is a method of manifesting, and I came to it through my own practice, but it's kind of like 2-in-1, and I think you'll understand what that means as I explain it. So, as some of you know, or as a lot of you know, I do write songs. I've been writing songs since I was 13 years old. And I've started doing it for a living, for money, about 10 years ago. And it's just so much fun because, I do have my own songs that I write for myself, but I mostly write for other people. Nevertheless, though, throughout the years, I have been using the method, if you will. It was all intuitive how I developed this, of writing songs as a meditation, as a wishing of sorts, as a processing of sorts. My history, I've shared that I had a narcissistic, still do, I had a narcissistic mother growing up. And so a lot of emotions, this is how I process them. And this is how I express myself in poetry. And eventually it grew into songwriting. And so songwriting, in that sense, is very, it's exactly what manifestation is. And in this audio, I will teach you how I manifest, essentially. And it's so simple that some of you might still think that I'm like not discussing something or not unveiling something for you. Listen, on my Magic and Miracles original channel, I totally unveiled everything other than my coaching program, that is. Of course, and obviously, the way that I manifest, the way that I think. So I'm not really trying to hide anything. I think the key element, of course, and this goes without saying, is provided you have done the work on yourself, which is that you've processed what I call drama, trauma, panorama. If you haven't done this, everything will be difficult for you. So I'm just going on the assumption in this audio that you are in progress at the very least or at least you have identified, let's just say, the areas of opportunity. It could be many, it could be some, whatever it is, that I'm assuming that you're working through it, or at least are aware of it. Okay. But so the songwriting for me happens like this, and a lot of songwriters will agree. Usually when it's a request from another person, they will tell me what to write about. And so it's, it's not the same as writing for myself, because for myself, it's very personal. But if you're writing for yourself, you're using your own emotions. So it's a way to manifest, as well as I'm going to use songwriting as an analogy of how manifestation happens. So like I said, it's 2-in-1, okay? Go back and re-listen to it if you must, if it gets too confusing. So this is how I write songs. Like I said, if somebody gives me a request, it's easy. I just have to hit all the points, etc. If I'm writing for myself, okay, I'm going to request from my higher self the inspiration in terms of, so let's just say I want to write about my ex, which I have written about my ex, surprise, surprise. but I want it to be on a specific subject, and I want it to have a certain feeling, a certain tonality, if you will. And essentially the idea is I need to come up with a title. Oftentimes I have the title before anything, much like parenthesis here for my Magic and Miracles audios. What a surprise. I only have a few notes, the rest is channeled. So anyway, so I have the title, and I know what I want the song to sound like, in the sense that what kind of feeling it's going to give it to me. Okay? What kind of feeling it's going to give to me, what maybe even certain words that are going to be in the lyrics. Maybe if I have like certain words, certain favorite words that I want to be included. Okay, words are really powerful like this. So, maybe words. And overall, what is the situation? What is happening in the song? What is the narrative? So if you just kind of like filter everything that I just said and you aim it at a certain manifestation, the thing applies all the same. What kind of feeling I want to derive? What exactly is this person maybe telling me? The words that they will use, let's just say, in the case of SP, or maybe it's, doesn't have to be a romantic interest. It could be anybody, like a business partner or something. And overall, what is the narrative? What is happening? What is the situation? But I mean, it's precisely manifestation right here, right now, in this form. And so the way that I, again, write the songs is I send a request to higher self, and I say, okay, I want these words to be in the song. I want this kind of rhythm. I don't have to figure out exactly. I give ideas. It's like a mood board, if you will. And I wanted to have that title, and sometimes the title might change, but the overall idea. Well, I just leave it like that. I have my songwriting notepads and this and that, like a trillion of them, actually. And I leave it alone. And I leave the page blank. And in a moment of inspiration, I could be in a shower, I could be in a bath, I could be just having a walk with my dog or alone. I could be doing whatever. And all of a sudden, everything will hit me all at once. Like, the beat, the lyrics, the melody, the whole fucking shebang. I just have to make sure that I grab my phone in time in order to sing it and to, later map out the lyrics, etc. But the grid work is there. And I mean, I can never claim, even the stuff that I'm channeling for Magic and Miracles, that it's all mine. It just happens in the moment. And in the same manner, I cannot really claim my songs. I think Michael Jackson said that famously. It's like it's given to you from above, he said. It's exactly like this. So it's just being dropped on your head, essentially, kind of deal. Metaphorically speaking, like, here you go. It's being, in fact, dropped through your mind. This is the form of channeling. Obviously, songwriting is a form of channeling, but you are channeling your reality also 24/7. You're on a certain frequency. You're channeling your reality. So the steps that I just gave you, so I naturally received the song as in manifestation. Okay, I have the entire manifestation. Did I specify what I wanted to be like? Yes. Did I specify what it's going to make me feel like? Yes. Did I specify what exactly is the situation? Yes, yes, yes. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. I just gave it to you. The way Anna the coach manifests is I leave it the fuck alone. I don't think about it anymore. I don't dwell. I don't sweat. I don't worry about it at all. It's, in fact, the more I leave it alone, the more excited I feel at the end of the day, because I know that if I leave it alone, it's going to come back mega good. If I even worry a little bit, it's derailing its magnificence. Okay? So if you really want so in the case of SP, let's just say, You're tapping into the song. Okay, you're writing the song, this melody of this encounter or this conversation or whatever. Maybe it's an apology, or maybe it's the symphony of somebody giving you a call and telling you you've just won $1 million. Okay, how about that kind of fucking symphony? You'll be like, I can use this kind of symphony every Monday, Anna. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And yes, you can. Why not? After all. But so this is, you composing essentially at a frequencies. You're tapping into this feeling. You acknowledge and identify this is the feeling right here. And listen, here's what I wanted to say. And this is really, excuse me, important. And if you really grasp this, you kind of have it, all right? And this, nobody talks about the way that I do, because nobody probably understands it the way that I do. I don't know, but this is so important. Only you will know how this manifestation feels to you. And you should go with your intuition in that when you're tapping into this scenario, the first impression, how does it feel to you? Before your fucking beliefs and negative thoughts started bombarding you, what's that whiff of happiness? How do you define that? So I can, you can tell me in human language, it makes me feel happy. But the tonality to which it's going to be custom made for you, what that represents, I mean, get it, you're happy, let's just say. But happy has all sorts of different frequencies, meaning it's a different frequency to get engaged, and from, let's just say, it's a different frequency to I don't know, just have somebody call you up. You're still happy, but it's a different frequency. There's different tonalities. Okay, this is an extreme example, but I'm sure you understand. In other words, blue has a lot of shades. Red has a lot of shades. Where is your feeling? Only you will know. But that the signature of that reality is beyond any comprehension, because you yourself have the antenna, okay? This is your channeling instrument through which you experience reality. You have the channeling instrument that is picking up that frequency in the moment it is described to you. Like I said, the first impression before the Drama Mama Panorama started playing their shebang, their circus in your mind. And with one touch like this, just one touch, one time you visit this parallel reality and you get precisely what it feels like to you to get that something, not just the general happy. What the fuck does happy mean? You need to describe it to yourself somewhat, like I said, a mood board, so that you get a whiff of specifically that reality. What's the flavor, all right? What's the flavor of that reality? And if you can capture that reality, like all of the circumstances, all of the necessary components for you to be satisfied with that creation, what goes into the computer? That's what will come out. And if you don't oppose it, I know it sounds, so cliche because a lot of people say it, but it's so true. If you just don't oppose it, if you just leave it the fuck be, it comes back quicker. But see, like for me, I've developed this trust. I know for a fact that if I try hard, I can't make the song. I mean, it's impossible for me. The stuff that I channel, the songs, they're fucking marvelous. Okay, my clients are happy with them. I'm happy with them. That's all that matters. And me as a human being, I would never be able to write things like that. Okay, just with no like kind of education in songwriting, you could say, etc. Just totally self-taught and going by intuition. But somehow I'm able to channel these melodies. And they're fantastic. So in the same manner, you don't really need to figure out how it's going to come back and chase after you. It's just you need to know that it will. You need to know that it will because you dared to press the button of that frequency. It's like if somebody mentions somebody's name, and let's just say you haven't spoken about that person in a while, and suddenly that name comes up. Well, don't you know you will hear from that person? It's the same exact thing with the frequencies and pressing the button of that frequency. People think that you really need to try hard. In fact, the less you try, the better. You can't write enough in that sense. You can't try hard enough for the song to come out right if just from the get-go you are already forcing it. You're not letting the intuition, the channeling come through in its most magnificent divinity. And I'll give you an example. This you can use as a not only an analogy, but as I said, a manifestation technique in the beginning. And I've experienced this so often that at some point I actually stopped writing. This is how scripting is powerful, but this is way better than scripting, and here's why. Because it is a song, your subconscious mind is more accepting of it. It's a song, it's a form of entertainment, it's a melody, and it's almost implied that this is just entertainment, purely entertainment, and it's not to be taken seriously. And don't you know the subconscious mind relaxes and takes the information, and this is why songs and lyrics are so fucking powerful. Don't listen to music, the lyrics of which you do not want to come true in your life. This is for sure serious. I mean, definitely 1,000,000,000% true. Okay. And just like that, don't write things and don't say or try not to say things that you don't want to come true, even if they're true right now in your reality. Be very fucking careful. But so you can use this as a manifestation technique. And if you wanted to write a poem or a song that is this whimsical kind of situation, and yet your subconscious mind is more relaxed about this form of scripting because it has music to it, it's rhymes, and it's just maybe, it takes it as again, entertainment only. I'll give you an example and it will clarify. I gave this example on my original channel, but this came to mind as I was kind of thinking about what I'm going to talk about in this audio. So, oh God, how many years ago now? A few years ago, over 5 years ago, let's just say, 6 or 7. I can't. It's all a blur. You will understand in a minute why. I was trying to get legally, to finalize my divorce legally because my second husband was nowhere to be found. He didn't want to divorce me. It's a whole narcissistic shebang. And it was really irritating the shit out of me because I at least wanted to give it a shot to find him before going through a very complicated process, that court demands that you do go through in order to get your divorce final. So he would disappear on me. We've been separated at that point, for years, but at that point in my life, I decided that I wanted to date to marry. Okay. And I've dated casually and this and that, and that was fine. That had a place in my life, but I really wanted to have my slate clean, so to speak, not have any energetic attachments either, and certainly not legal attachments to anybody. And I thought to myself, let me just take care of this divorce bullshit. And so, the person that I was seeing casually, I said goodbye to that person, no hard feelings, blah, blah, blah. I started making room for my manifestation of my SP who I would marry, essentially. That was my prepavement. And so once I said goodbye to the person I was seeing, I remember saying to myself, you know what, now all I have to do is to get rid of that fucking divorce and I'm free. I'm free to manifest somebody that I really, would consider marrying. And I was like, I know this one. I'm just going to write a song about how this ex reappears and how, he's a narcissist all the way. always in trouble, always blames everybody, the whole shebang. And every now and again, he would reappear to ask me for money, which is so, yeah. But to me, that was what was believable. And I wrote a song in a poetic way, of course, but essentially not insinuating, implying that he's reappeared to ask me for something, and where were you when I needed help, and that kind of situation. I made it a show business kind of situation, nevertheless, even though the subject matter was icky. Well, don't you know? I'm so serious. It was either a week or 10 days. I can't remember which, but it was less than 2 weeks for sure. Okay. I was in my bubble bath, let's just say a week later, like days later, something like that. And I get an email from him asking me for fucking something, money, this, that, and the other. And I was like, great. Now at least, because, if somebody doesn't respond for a while, like you can't even say, okay, this is his email, so maybe if you get a chance to serve them by email, that kind of deal. So now he responded. And of course, we had the whole back and forth, me trying to be reasonable, him trying not to be reasonable. But at least I had that. And that served me in my divorce. So you see how very gently you can make people reappear in your life. I haven't heard from him at that point for oh my God, over 5 years. He avoided me, never responded to any emails, nothing. And all of a sudden, he came to me. So when you try, or you could use it for money. You could use it for whatever. You could use it to hear from anybody, accomplish something, whatever. Just make it a joy to write it. It should be expressive. It should be, I'm letting my emotions out. I'm letting my desire out. I'm leaving nothing kind of hidden. This is how I really feel. There needs to be an element of truth in it. You have to believe it, in other words. But also, figure out how you can then twist this truth, meaning not twist the truth, okay, those of you narcissists out there, but twist the subject matter in a way where even with the ugly truth, you get something that you want, let's just say. Okay, example being, or even what you don't prefer becomes what you prefer. In other words, be a good storyteller. And if you don't understand what I just said, please come to my coaching and I will explain it to you further, because that's a really one-on-one kind of conversation. In other words, you trick your mind to believe that this is actually the premise at hand. Because here's what happens with songs also. You know how when you listen to the song, it's just like, whether you like it or not, sometimes it just jams into your mind, and that's all you can hear from morning till night. This, you know what I mean? Like the first thing you get up in the morning, still that stupid song in my head. But guess what? If there are lyrics attached to this song or a poem, okay, then the repetition of it being automatic serves you. So, I mean, again, I can't tell you how many times this came true for me through songs, and I started paying attention that they are coming true verbatim, okay? Everything I've written, it's scary shit, guys. So don't joke with manifestation. Manifestation is the easy shit in the world. You just have to figure out the language of it. The language of it is just subtle ideas. When you're working too hard, you're in fact really loudly communicating to the universe that you don't even begin to believe anything that you're writing about, anything that you're affirming or whatever. Don't even get me started with affirmations. I think a lot of you know what I think about these affirmation coaches and blah, 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 just so lazy. Lazy is not even the word, but you have to learn the language of manifestation being easy. If you're insisting upon it being hard, and this is why you have to try so hard, it's going to continue being hard for you. The things that you probably will say to me is that, what about this? It works, but it works with things I don't care about. Okay, well then start with baby steps and certainly augment it. This is not, because I'm special. I just had practice. I had a lot of practice and I started noticing what works. And if I get emotionally involved with a song, I mean, you do get emotionally involved with a song regardless. It's just like the music is playing, the tonality is there, the lyrics are there, you're feeling something. It's impossible not to feel something. You just gotta pay attention to what kind of songs you write. So when people ask these questions like, when can I expect a result? Do you see how this is the very wrong question to ask? If I start focusing on when, it's going to prolong it. If I'm just solely focused on it's going to be so much fun when I receive the song inspiration and I'm going to write it down and it's going to be fantastic, or when I get that manifestation, I'm going to enjoy it so much and I'm going to know exactly that I manifested it because it's going to have my fingerprint on it with the specificity with which I created it. That's a whole other approach. So this is when, in coaching, I examine everything with you, your entire life, because if you're hanging on to this manifestation being so important that it trumps everything, in other words, your life is not complete without this manifestation, that's another situation that you need to look at. Because this manifestation, the least pressure that you put on it, again, just like you're writing a song, the better. The faster, the more fantastical, the more magical the result will be. If you think that this manifestation will solve your world or save you, forget about it. It ain't happening like that. This is called desperation. This is not called inspiration. Okay, inspiration is in spirit. When you completely 100% trust that your higher self is taking care of you. The request has been submitted and you're just walking around for the right moment for, kind of like the heavens to open up and for the gift to drop into your lap. That's all. That's all you're really doing. You're just being a good antenna for the receptivity of those inspirations. Maybe you get inspired to go call your friend. Maybe you get inspired to, I don't know, go somewhere, call somebody, or you will just get kind of like an inspiration or an idea that somebody will call you, and or then you drive it home with actually writing a song or a poem about it, and don't you know this will come true like 1, 2, 3. So in other words, the more lighthearted you are about it, the less drama, trauma, panorama you carry right now, the emotional baggage that we process in my coaching, the better off you are, because you're floating like a balloon through your life, just enjoying one thing after another. And for the majority of the time, you actually realize how big your power is and how really wise you have to be with it. You can't just throw it around. You know what I mean? If you're throwing it around, if you're trying too hard, or if you are doing X, Y, and Z, and just there's too much effort. In other words, you really don't know that the power just it requires very little, the smallest dose possible. You're overdosing right now on power because you're using it in big dosages. Maybe your reality is a little bit hungover. I don't know. Only you will know. You need to slow it down. Try less and use this power wisely. It was just kind of like, I need to be receptive to these ideas that I'm asking about. I can't be receptive when I'm over there, kind of like fighting for why I should have it, and being upset if others have it before me, and all this kind of fucking bullshit. Before you bring in that bullshit, just consider that it actually is easy, and the reason you're complicating it is because, well, mama drama panorama, in short. Even now that I'm recording this audio, I know people will listen to this and be like, no, it can't be that easy. But it is, darling, it is. That's all it is. Me, honestly, like when I'm a very good energy reader of people. So much so I have to sometimes pretend not to be because it's just really like blatantly obvious to me. But what happens with me personally, and this is not to brag, but just to give you an idea where you also could end up being, me, I have to really be focused on what exactly I want to manifest. Again, it isn't a matter of focus in that, I have a hard time keeping my focus on something in order for it to come to fruition. But I could get sidetracked with another option, let's just say, of another kind of whatever it may be, whatever it is I'm manifesting, and get very enthralled with that other option and maybe manifest it. But it's good problems to have. But the thing is, I have to pay attention because once I feel like the wheels of manifestation are turning, if I really don't want that manifestation, because that's how easy it is for me today, if I really don't want the manifestation and if I'm just playing around with that energy just for fun, then I have to let it go at that point because otherwise it's going to manifest. And, listen, in some cases it's just good problems to have, but in some cases maybe I really don't want, okay, extra shit in my life. I don't know. So it's another kind of problem to have. But test this out. Test this out as an analogy. Test this out as a technique. It will blow your fucking mind how universe is precise. And never again will you take your power for granted. And you will be like me. You will be like, I have to be careful what I write about. I have to be careful what I sing about. I have to be careful what energy do I engage in. Even if it's past the mark of 2 days and I'm still engaged with that energy, I have to make a decision if I really want it. Okay, because then it's like, and so this is what I work on with my clients, is really just kind of like peeling the onion of the real golden Buddha that you are underneath it all, and how really so simple it is to manifest, just accessing the energy of that parallel reality. Thank you very much for listening. All the information from me is below, and I would love to invite you to my Saturday live tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my original channel, that is Magic and Miracles, the original channel. The link is below. You will be able to ask me questions there one-on-one, not exactly one-on-one, sorry, I don't know why I said that, but face to message. Anyway, I'll be there, and you will be able to ask me questions live. Thank you so much again. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.